Welcome to Switch Comics. My name is Marco, and today I'm asking the question, does the market decide what a first appearance is? And I know that's a ludicrous statement to say, okay, so don't attack me yet. Don't attack me yet. This all began from... I made a video a couple weeks ago asking the question, which comic's going to be more valuable, Hulk 3 or Hulk 6, the first cameo appearance or full appearance of Titan, or the Titan Hulk, or... I'm not exactly sure what his exact name is. But anyway, it was something that I've actually talked about quite a bit on this channel. With the pretext being, Hulk 3 was a surprise cameo. It just hit everybody. It sidelined everybody, you know what I mean? It just came out and, people collected it. And, it only had a 1 in 25 and, just the A and B cover. And then we knew for about 3 months that Hulk 6 was going to be the first full appearance. And there was an A cover, a B cover, and I think a C cover as well. Is at least a C, maybe a D, I can't remember exactly. But anyway, had a 1 in 25, had a 1 in 200, had a 1 in 500. And obviously, an insane print run. I don't know the print run number, but I know that everyone, all kinds of places and people ordered ridiculous amounts of that book. And, I asked the question, will the print run kill that book? Because historically, first full appearances are always worth more money than first cameo appearances. However, I keep trying to say to people, and I don't know, I have a lot of people fighting me on this one, and comics are changing. The last 2 years of comics, and even, as we're going through, I think this is kind of, we're setting new ground and new precedent in the comic collecting game. It's not the same as it was. We have all these new investors and, money. People putting money into this hobby of ours. And it's changing everything. Everyone wants to spec. Everyone wants to do this and that. And, trying to get a good deal and make some money. Everything's about money now. And with that, things are slightly just here and there changing, and I don't think everyone's noticing. And I'm paying attention to it. Now granted, I work at a comic shop, I buy comics, I sell comics, I look at comics every single day. You know what I mean? And I understand a lot of people, really care about comics, but I don't know if everyone's necessarily paying attention to the finer details of the changing market. And with something like this happening, with a comic having about 3 months notice, and anybody can order as much as they want of that first full appearance, it was doomed to fail. Now granted, in that other video I talk about if in a year or so will it have any value, and that's a different conversation. My point being though is, if this book had come out 5 years ago even, and then suddenly now people are caring about Titan, everyone, of course, would flock to Hulk 6, his first full appearance. But now that everyone is so just on stuff, there's so many books right now that there's no confirmations or of a character popping up or anything. There's so many books that are like, well, maybe this character could show up at some point, and the book is shot up in value. There's so many insane instances of that. And you have things like Key Collector that'll, really it lets a lot of people know a lot more information than what we used to look at. And then as people are, oh, well, I can't get a Ultimate Fallout 4 for a good price. Well, let me go to Miles Morales #1. Okay, well, I can't get that. Maybe I can get the first time him and Gwen are on a cover. I don't know. I'm making up stuff in now. But, you see what I'm saying? Like, people just keep going, well, I can't get the, I've already missed the boat on getting a good deal on that. So I'll get to this. And maybe not everybody's on this one yet. Okay, missed the boat on that. And then on to the next thing and missed the boat on that. And there's so many people in this right now that are looking for that next deal, that next thing that's going to blow up, even if it's just a little bit of money. People are going insane. Like, people will flock and buy this book that maybe they can make $5 on, Because to some people, to me, $5 is not worth the effort. You know what I mean? But there's some people out there that $5 is worth the effort. They will do that all day. And so the market has just changed. Like, and you have to, I don't care if you like it or don't like it or whatever, except the market has changed because it's the truth, and it's what's happened, and there's going to be differences and slight variations in the normalities of collecting keys, at least specifically with modern keys that are coming out now. Like I said, if a book came out 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 80 years ago, whatever, what, that's a big number, but if it came out a while back, most of that stuff is set in stone. But if a book is coming out next week, did we know it was going to be a key? Was it this, was it that? I don't know. There's a lot. Is it in a book? Like, for example, recently Black Panther 3 had that first appearance of Tazan. I don't remember his last name, and I would probably butcher it anyway. That was a surprise, and in a book that people weren't really reading. It had a relatively low print run. That's why that's like a $40 book still. Like, you can't tell me these print runs don't matter, and the availability of knowledge that influences ordering doesn't matter, because it clearly does. So going with that Hulk 3 and 6, still, even now, Hulk 3 is like a $15 book, and I'm just going to talk about the A covers. It's still like a $15 book. It's it's a decent, relatively new modern key. If you got it for $4, sold it for $15, that's okay. That's not too bad. However, that Hulk 6 is still cover price. Now, granted, like I said, some of the ratio, like I think the 1 in 200 is still doing pretty good. But it's the first cover appearance as well, and it's a really nice cover. I'm going to be a little bit all over the place because I'm a little bit frantic, because when I made this post, or I made this video a couple weeks ago, and then I shared it to some Facebook groups and stuff like that, some comic book groups. And there was somebody that started fighting me that was like, well, of course Hulk 6 is going to be worth more money. It's the first full appearance. And I'm like, well, look at the like actual facts right now. And he just wasn't having any of it. He wasn't having any of it. And then, like, when I was like, look at the facts, he was like, well, nobody cares about that book anyway. And I'm like, you're just deflecting. You know what I mean? Like, answer the question. Talk about what we're talking about. Because, I don't know, people are scared of change. And this is kind of going to go into... I'm going to kind of delve into some topics I've talked about before, with the fact that I think there's a lot of reasons where people will adjust the narrative to fit. I don't know. It's hard to explain because it doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like through time, and again, I'm a pretty new comic collector myself. So you have these older collectors, and for whatever reason, back in the day, nobody really cared about cover appearances and iconic covers and stuff like that. That's a more modern thing, and people, displaying your comics as a more, and it's slabs and stuff like that, that's a more modern thing. That's not something that really people used to do a lot. And with this change in the market and change in ideology about collecting comics, certain factors, like a really iconic cover, have really started to boost values in comics. And it did that before as well, but for whatever reason back then, people didn't want to say that. And so that's why I think you have these instances of people arguing about what's this character's real first appearance. Like, I'll just talk about Hulk 180 and 181. Without a doubt, 181 is the better cover. And I know art is subjective, but 181 is the better cover. That's just the end of the statement, okay? However, there's a lot of people that argue 180 is actually his first full appearance because he's in a number of panels, and it probably should really be his first appearance. But the book that everyone wanted and still wants today and will want forever is 181, because it is his first cover appearance, and it's an incredible cover. Like, if you think of Wolverine, that is the cover you think of. You don't think of 180. That is the cover you think of. Same thing, even though a bit more convoluted, with Gambit, X-Men 266 versus X-Men Annual 14. That one was a bit of a scheduling issue, but also 266 looks way better. That's the one people want in their collection. Okay? So through time, in my opinion, it very much seems like people have adjusted and called things first appearances, even though they're maybe not. And I know some people are always going to fight on various books, what's first cameo versus full, and this and that or whatever. And kind of what really got my brain stirring about this is this. Like I said, there's that guy in the comments arguing with me about Hulk and whatever. But then we started talking about other things, started bringing up other examples, and he was going on and on. But so we brought up Thor 1. Or I brought up Thor 1. I was like, with Jane Foster, this book, right? Where is it? Right there. I brought up that book and said, what about that one? That's her third cameo appearance, but it's the big book. Her first full appearance is in issue 2, and number 1's about a $100 book, and issue 2's about a $30 book. And I honestly only recently has gotten up to about a $30 book. It's been about a $10, $15 book for a long time. Someone commented on that and said they were agreeing with me. It was a strange thing. They agreed with me, and then said, well, the market has decided that's her first appearance. And I don't agree with that part of the statement at all. Again, to me, it doesn't matter if it's her third cameo appearance. I'm fine with that. It's still the book that I want on the wall. I don't want issue number 2. The issue number 2 is a fine looking cover. It's fine. But that is the cover. Actually, my favorite cover is the 1 in 50, the Ribic cover. It's a much more expensive book, and I really want to get that maybe someday later. But anyway, for the point of argument, that is the book, in comparison. And it goes with, if I were to get a Hulk 180 or 181, I want 181. I know I do. I don't care that if the whole world agreed it's his second appearance, that'd still be the book that I want on the wall. And there's something about that people, I don't know, they just don't want to admit. I think it's an older thing. Like I said, I think a newer collector doesn't have an issue being like, that's just a beautiful cover. Like, for example, my Vanity Fair homage, She-Hulk, 34 down there. It's not a key issue. It's just, I love that cover. It's a beautiful book. I think it's gorgeous. My favorite Riri book is that Invincible Iron Man 1 right there. It's not Ironheart 1. It's not her first full appearance. I love that cover. I think it's beautiful. I don't know. There's other covers, like I said, that are just, to me, it doesn't really matter. Like, if I really, really love that book, and the whole, market decides that's the book they really, really love, and they want to represent a character, or whatever the issue is, if that's the book that the market decides is valuable, which that's what the market does. The market will dictate what books are valuable. But people, I don't know, like I said, and this is really my first kind of real proof of somebody really saying, well, the market has dictated that's the first appearance. And I was like, I'm not crazy. Like, people are doing this. People are actually doing this. And people have been doing it for years. They're gaslighting themselves and just telling them this is the first appearance or whatever. Just to make themselves feel better about spending money on a book. I don't know. I don't know what the thing is. I don't know if they'd be embarrassed if they're like, oh yeah, I spent, $10,000 on Wolverine's second appearance. I don't know what this is, and I'm open to conversation. Hopefully intelligent conversation where we can go back and forth with a little bit and really talk about symptoms and kind of how we got to this point, and maybe, again, things that people don't want to discuss in the hobby. But I do think that the market has changed, and I don't know. I think it's just crazy the way that people lie to themselves to justify themselves. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that being said, I don't know. It's kind of like the same thing that I've talked about for a while now. Is just that I really do think that cover has such an impactful part of a comic's collectability. I always go on Avengers Annual 10. No one likes that cover, and that book continuously struggles to gain any traction, despite Rogue being a pretty big X-Men. You know what I mean? Her book just doesn't go up in value. And even if we actually get Rogue announced in a movie tomorrow, like, I just don't see it going up that much. If we got a Gambit and Rogue movie coming out, they just announced it, Gambit's book would explode and I'm sure Rogue's book would go up, but it wouldn't be in the same velocity that the Gambit's would. Even when we had the Fox X-Men explosion, when Disney bought Fox, when Disney bought Fox and we knew X-Men were coming, everybody was buying a bunch of X-Men keys, they were all going up in value. Rogues didn't really do anything. I bought my 9.0 X-Men 266 for, I think it was $125, and it's not like a $300 book. Like, more than doubled in value, and Rogues has barely done anything. Like, it maybe went from like an $80 raw to a $100 raw book in good condition. But I don't know. It doesn't really bother me at the end of the day. I make this channel to try to help and inform people, and so it's kind of irritating when someone is so trapped in their shell of not absorbing any knowledge. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I'm a fountain of knowledge that I'm blessing upon you. Again, I open conversation. If you don't entirely agree with me, that's fine. But to just completely reject me and not even answer me when I have an actual question about your ideology, you just shut yourself off from any ability to learn or adapt to anything. And everything changes, and you have to adapt. And if you don't realize that the comic market is way different in the past 2 years than it has been at any point, literally ever, then I don't know what to tell you, because you're just blind if you can't see how crazy the market has changed. And aside from the obvious points of where it's changed, if you really start diving into it, there's even other topics that I haven't really talked about yet, because I'm still taking in information and trying to. I think it's interesting. For example, we'll go back to Thor 1 here, where it is. We got that trailer with the Jane Foster Thor, and her book didn't really do anything. If anything, it's actually maybe even gone down a few dollars in value. And I have ideas about that, and they're not fully fledged because I don't fully understand yet. I'm trying to absorb knowledge and watch patterns in market buying behavior and learn things. I myself am constantly trying to learn things, and when I figure things out, when I get on these little nuggets of knowledge, I try my best to share it to people. And it's what's really exciting to me. I really do enjoy talking about this and learning, because maybe I'll bring up half a point of here's what I've kind of learned, and then you might have some other stuff, and it'll work together, and we'd be like, oh, we figured it out together. You know what I mean? I'm all down for discussion, but just acknowledge that the market has changed, and it will continue to change. It's changed so rapidly in, like I said, the past couple years especially. But I guess that's the end of my rant. I didn't really have a script or anything for it. I just, other than a few numbers I wrote down of some prices just to keep it on my memory. But yeah, that's it. If you have anything interesting to add to the conversation, please do in the comments. I would love to hear about it. If you didn't watch my video and just got triggered by the title and commenting on my Facebook post, then I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. Just ignore you, I guess. I'm trying to teach people, and not even necessarily, like I said, not even necessarily to teach people. Maybe just open their eyes to things that are happening. The market, it's crazy and it's interesting. If you're invested into the comic industry in any kind of way, even if you're just a collector, and when I say invested, you can be invested as a collector. It still affects you. And so understanding how the market works and how it shifts is going to make you have smarter purchasing decisions, you know? That's all I got for you today, though. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.